Your host, Brooke, aka Shiggy, and my co-host, Megan.
What's up?
If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, follow us on all social media at the Brooks Bench, and join our Discord, link in the description. If you are here, we're going over day 2 of first round Women's College Basketball March Madness Tournament. We will be going over any close games and any upsets of the first round. Now, as you guys know, there was a lot of games today, so we won't cover all of them, but we'll cover the close matchups, the bracket busting picks or matchups, whatever you want to call it. So let's get into it. So I do want to point out all the teams that advanced after day 2. So we had Iowa. Iowa's going to advance. And I do want to point out the narrative that people try to push that Murray State was going to beat Iowa. You're kidding me. I understand their best player for Murray State got hurt. And then another player got fouled out early, but still, Iowa was handling their business, and Iowa's been hot. Like, I don't know, for people to say Iowa's gonna get upset, I just feel like they weren't watching Iowa. Maybe towards the end of the year when they've been on a hot streak. But yeah, that narrative is crazy to me. USC is gonna advance. I know Juju tweaked her ankle, but I believe she returned. She's gonna be fine. UConn killed who was it again? Arkansas State,
hmm
103 to 34. That was insane. AZ Fudd went off, 27 points. NC State defeated Vermont. This game was way closer through the first 3 quarters than it ended up being. NC State just caught fire at the end. I believe we're going to be talking about this game. But Kiera Hansen for Vermont, 21 points off the bench. She really kept them in this game, and I wanted to give her a shout out for that. Oklahoma's going to be advancing. Alabama, West Virginia, Maryland. Congrats, Maryland. We were concerned. I think we are going to be talking about this game. Michigan State, Illinois, UNC, Florida State, Mississippi State, and South Dakota State. We will be going over that game as well. And then Texas LSU basically won both their games. No surprise there. But with those teams advancing, let's talk about the close games that happened today. There were a couple. And I feel like the theme of today was quarters 1 through 3, everyone was neck and neck. And I was
hmm
like, what is going on? And then the fourth quarter hit, and it's like, all right, never mind. We were just
hmm
playing around. So I feel like we kind of shortened our close games that we're going to talk about. The first game was Maryland defeating Norfolk State 82 to 69. Now, this game was very competitive. I feel like Norfolk was very competitive throughout this game. Maryland was playing around a little bit, okay? Uh, they were until the end,
hmm
until they started hitting. Maryland was led by Sarah Tibayasu, 22 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Killing Schmeichel, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And then Kiara Wheeler for Norfolk State, 20. Norfolk State, man, that's Norfolk State. Jesus. 20 points, 7 rebounds. Norfolk State basically scored their first 7 points and led 32 to 30 at halftime. That's when I believe you were like, oh my God, it's 7-0 already, or something like that, right? When the game first started.
Yeah. In the
Uh,
very beginning, it was like 10-4, something crazy. I was like,
yeah.
oh, here we go.
Maryland ended up turning over the ball 12 times in the first half, so explains a lot there. Tiba Asu, though, she went off. She hit some clutch threes for Maryland.
hmm
And Maryland actually had a 30-point quarter in the third quarter that really set them apart in this game. Um, Norfolk kind of went through a foul trouble, and then basically Tiba Asu and Kayleen Schmeichel hit clutch threes, like just a trio of clutch threes that really just took over the momentum. And then they hit, their free throws as well. But Maryland, you were close. They did shoot 50% from the three, which is amazing. I believe it. The amount of threes we saw Maryland make was crazy today. They shot
hmm
43% from the field. They out rebounded Norfolk State 41 to 26. Um, but yeah, Maryland, congratulations. I really thought I'm not even gonna lie. When I was looking at the bracket, I almost chose this as an upset, Norfolk
Oh,
State.
Lord.
But I was like, I can't do that to Maryland. Like Maryland, you have to at least win this round. I mean, but what do you see from this game, Meg?
I think because it started to get chippy, it actually
Yeah.
helped Maryland because it
Yes.
made them play even harder. And like,
And
you
the
could
crowd,
tell,
home crowd was in
yeah,
it, and
home
so
crowd,
yeah.
yeah. So I think it just helped. Maryland was in it. You saw the energy, and that
Hmm.
wasn't there in the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
But it came, and I like the way they played this game. They finished it. I will say though that Maryland still they won't consistently play a full game. Like
Yeah.
even though they start popping off and hitting threes, they still let Norfolk go on runs, and it's like
Hmm.
they can't let that happen because any other team, if they were hitting, because Norfolk had some good looks, and then they just weren't dropping. Like they were getting to the basket, they just weren't finishing, and any
Hmm.
other team is going to finish, and that's
Yeah.
why I worry that Maryland's not going to go anywhere after this.
Yeah. And I will say Norfolk being a 13 seed, I think is just disrespectful. They played great.
Yeah.
They played really aggressive basketball, and I just feel like 13, like really? They kept
Mm-hmm.
up. You guys are a 4 seed. So I mean, they gave you guys a run for your money. I don't know. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen some 13 seeds and I've seen also some 10s and 11s and 9s and I'm like, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Norfolk could have been up there a little bit. Um, but yes, congrats to Maryland. Maryland will play Alabama next. I know I do have Alabama beating Maryland as an upset.
Yeah.
I don't know though. It depends what Maryland we get.
And Alabama's one of those teams too where it depends on what
Depends on
Alabama
what
team you
Alabama
get. So
exactly. And the way Alabama played today, they played really well. So
mhm.
I'm kind of concerned that they're not gonna pop off tomorrow. But you guys played really well too. So we're probably just gonna get this very average, close scoring game.
Probably, yeah.
So you did have Alabama upsetting Maryland next round?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think that's gonna be a lot of brackets that I was actually looking at. But we'll see. I think it's gonna be a close game. The next close game, Illinois is defeating Creighton 66 to 57. Creighton, you disappointed me. I always choose Creighton first round. I feel like in years past, they always come through with their clutch three-point shooting, and you can depend on it later in the game when they need points. And no, that's not the Creighton that we got. And I'm super upset. Illinois, though, Genesis Bryant, she did pop off early in the first half, really set the tone for Illinois. Genesis Bryant had 17 points, 4 assists, 1 rebound. Adelia McKenzie, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Morgan Malley for Creighton, 18 points, 4 rebounds. Creighton only shot 27% from the three, 63% from the free throw line. Okay? Come on now. Illinois out rebounded Creighton 42 to 32. Not surprised. They have what's her last name? Bostic. She was messing up in the paint, okay? I'm yeah, this is a bummer. And I believe this was Illinois' first tournament win in like 25 years. I think I
Wow.
saw something like that. So yeah, I'm a bit bummed. I had Creighton. Did you pick Illinois or you had Creighton as well?
I think I put Illinois.
Did you really?
Yeah, let me
Interesting.
see.
Um, yeah, but Creighton, we were watching the game and they're just so frustrating. They had good looks, they just weren't finishing. And I just feel like Illinois was hitting their shots. They looked like they wanted to win the game more. Um, yeah, I'm bummed about Creighton. I can't rely on them like years past.
Mhm.
You ended up picking Illinois though?
Yeah, I had Illinois.
Dang, that helped you in the bracket a lot. Illinois is going to play Texas next. Texas, you should be able to handle this. Did you have Texas surpassing Illinois next round?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That was an easy one. Let's go over. So those are mainly the two close games. We could say all the matchups were close, but that fourth quarter, man, the higher seeds all put their foot on the gas and kind of took over the game. I know I briefly mentioned Michigan State defeating Harvard. Michigan State had control of the game the entire game. I know
Yeah.
I don't really have anything for it. But I mean, Michigan State controlled the game. I was kind of disappointed. I think I was sold on the Harvard hype too much when I created this bracket. But no, don't ever do that.
Well,
Okay?
I will say one thing about that game though. I will say that Harvard, I think they still did well defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I think their downfall is that they struggled you know, ball handling. They had some turnovers,
Yeah.
but and then offensively, they only really have Harmony. They don't really have anybody else
Yeah.
scoring for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they struggled because, I mean, Michigan State was held to 64 points. Um, and I think for most of the game, it was pretty low scoring. Michigan
It
State
was,
didn't
yeah.
really start, they didn't really start putting points up until late.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, like, they talk about Harvard's defense and everything, and I saw like good defensive spark from them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Um, So let's go over to the upsets. South Dakota State upsetting Oklahoma State 74-68. And I told you in Brooke that this was going to happen. I
mm-hmm,
was reading up about South Dakota State. They really created like this culture, and I don't know, what I was reading, I really liked it. And when I was watching South Dakota State play, they're just so, I don't even know the word for it. Not systematic, but their ball movement and how they run their offense is just so nice. And
mm-hmm,
like, I know it may be like boring, I guess, but it works. And it's just like the ball movement was great. And it was just good to watch. And I feel like it helped them down the stretch. I know they had a slower start. Oklahoma State was hitting, but I feel like it helped them cut down like on their sloppiness.
mm-hmm.
I know they did have 16 turnovers, but I feel like at the end of the game, just like their ball movement and able to get it into the post and them scoring their easy baskets and their point guard, what was her name? Paige Meyer. Great facilitator. Oh my God. I love a good point guard. I don't know. Point guards are just underappreciated, I think. She really held they would not let anyone else bring this ball down except her. Like it was like pure panic. But when she has the ball, she facilitated great. She had a good no-look assist early in the game as well. But South Dakota State, I think they looked good. They shot 44% from the field. 80% from the free throw line. Oklahoma State struggled from the free throw line. And that was crazy. Staley Hurd missed a lot, which I was like, this is weird. They were
Mm-hmm.
only 50% from the line. And South Dakota State outscored them 38-26 in the paint. In my personal opinion, Magassa, the center for Oklahoma State, I feel like should have been more involved. I feel like she was cooking them. She had a lot of blocks defensively in this game. Yeah, 8 blocks. But I feel like they should have got to her more in the paint. I think it was a
Yeah.
mismatch. I feel like she was doing well in the first half. In the second half, they totally went away from
And
her.
she was 4 for 4. So the touches she did get, she
Yes.
finished. Everyone else was struggling. Like
Yes.
Gray, one of their Micah Gray, the one that normally puts a lot of points up for them, was 4 for 20 and 2 for 14 from
Oh
the
my
three.
gosh. Yeah.
We always talk about Staley Hurd. She was 7 for 16 and 3 for 6. I mean, the shots just were not dropping for them,
Hmm.
and they didn't go to the one person that was perfect from the field.
No, yeah, the first half, I was like, oh wow, this is a wrap. They're just gonna give
Mm-hmm.
it to her and it's over. But they went away from her, and I felt like South Dakota State played a really good second half.
Mm-hmm.
They were led by Brooklyn Meyer, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Madison Markowitz, I hope I said that right. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Staley Hurd for Oklahoma State, 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 assist.
I will say one last thing about this game is that I know when we were first talking about this game and you kept saying how South Dakota was going to win, you were saying how like if they get hot, they get hot. But it's crazy because South Dakota didn't even beat them by the three. And
Mm-mm.
that just says a lot. Like they're more
Mm-hmm.
than just 3 point shooters. Like
Mm-hmm.
they really beat them by just short jumpers and getting to the basket. So
Yeah, no, it was all around team effort for South Dakota State. I thought they
mhm.
played really well. It was fun watching them. They will be playing UConn next. I think we all have UConn winning that
Yeah.
game. And then the last upset of the day, Mississippi State upsetting Cal 59-46. This was just a struggle day for Cal.
I'm just mad at myself for this one.
I can't
I don't know
believe
why I
why'd you
switched
go
it. I don't
back?
know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It was I don't think this was an easy pick because Cal can get hot from three,
But I was
but
saying Mississippi State for like
yeah,
the longest. I don't know.
but Cal
Doubted myself.
struggled. Cal struggled from all aspects of shooting. They could not buy a bucket. 25% from the field, 14% from the three.
Mhm.
It was ridiculous. Cremelli and Twidwell were Cremelli was missed 8 of 10 shots. Twidwell missed 6 of 7 shots. They were 3 of 21 from the 3 point. That's a rough day for Cal.
Yeah.
Um, Mississippi State, I mean, they didn't do the best from three either. 18%, shots 34% from the field. But no, Mississippi State was led by Medina Okot, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals. Anaya Russell, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Onai for Cal, 17 points, 15 rebounds. And I just really believe that Cal's shooting. I think if Cal played regular, they probably
Yeah.
might have won this game. But they also had 24 turnovers. They got outscored in the paint 32 to 18.
Hmm.
They had 0 bench points. Like all these bad things were happening for Cal. Like it just what the stars were not aligning for them. The closest they got was 6 in the third quarter. But then Mississippi State went on another run and extended the lead 41 to 29. So, I mean, yeah. I know Mississippi State struggled in the first half. They shot better in the second half, shooting 50% um, in the second half. And yeah, I mean, yeah. It just came down to Cal could not buy a basket. They could
Hmm.
not even, it was just not a good day for Cal. Would you agree?
I agree. Yeah. It was rough to watch the game
It
overall. I
was
mean,
it was rough. Mississippi State will play USC next. I believe we all have USC winning.
hmm.
Well, with those upsets, I do want to point out the ESPN Tournament Challenge. They actually have a tracker for perfect brackets. There's only 1,800, well, 1,827 perfect brackets remaining, basically. And I do want to point out, I was like looking at it because there's like perfect bracket killers, right?
Hmm.
The most was Iowa State. I didn't point out yesterday, but
Hmm.
Iowa State losing was the number one bracket. Oh no, it wasn't. Number two. Utah was the number one bracket killer.
Mm.
That, yeah. Come on now. We all knew Indiana was going to win that. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, and then Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was close. It was a close second. Not really. Utah. A million people picked Utah to win, and oh my God, that's crazy.
Wow.
But I know after the South Dakota win, a lot of our brackets changed, and after the not Miss, a lot of people pick Mississippi State over Cal. I want to say Harvard, the Harvard pick. I feel like people were high on Harvard. I saw a lot of those in our bracket group. I know I've dropped in our group to 5. There's only one singular person in first place, and I believe they just joined because we had an uptick in our group size, and I didn't see this person yesterday. But they only have one loss. Jason Coker, congratulations. That's as of right now, you're almost perfect. Lucky Lauren, right behind you. But Meg, where are you at in this?
Uh,
Where are you?
I'm
Oh,
13.
13. Yikes. You had some rough picks there, huh?
Yeah.
No, I will say though that like I think like when you're picking the bracket, there is a little strategy to it. Like you have to kind of pick an upset. You have to like really try to convince yourself of like where can I separate myself from people?
Hmm.
Um, and I think I did that with Harvard, and that was dumb. That was not the pick. And also Creighton. Creighton, you messed me up. I can't believe you. I'm a die hard when it comes to March Madness, and you let me down. Okay, with that said, I wanted to go over the round 2 schedule for basically day 3, which will be today. So we will have Indiana versus South Carolina, Louisville versus TCU, Oregon versus Duke, Michigan versus Notre Dame, Kansas State versus Kentucky, Ole Miss versus Baylor, Tennessee versus Ohio State, and Richmond versus UCLA. I was looking and trying to compare all the brackets. I feel like the biggest like split in our group anyways is the Tennessee versus Ohio State game. That is the most like split that I've seen. Other than that, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have the same ones. I would say a close second is the Baylor Ole Miss game. Which way did you go for Baylor Ole Miss, Meg?
um, I
I went Baylor.
I think I went Ole Miss.
Okay, so yeah. And then what about, and then you went Tennessee, and I know I went Ohio State. So these next 2 games right there are for sure going to separate a lot of people. They're going to be close games, 4 or 5 seeds.
Mhm.
So, I mean, those are, it's gonna be tough to see which team we get, that
I wonder.
day.
I wonder if some people picked Louisville over TCU as
I didn't
well.
see a lot of that.
No. Okay.
No, I didn't.
And then
Um,
Alabama, Maryland. No one's repping Maryland.
you know what's funny? I don't think so.
No.
I didn't see a lot of Maryland. I'm not gonna lie to you. But hey, we never know.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, March 24th, we're gonna have Illinois versus Texas, Mississippi State versus USC, Michigan State versus NC State, South Dakota State versus UConn, West Virginia versus UNC, Iowa versus Oklahoma, Alabama versus Maryland, and then we'll have LSU versus Florida State. In this one, I would say a split was West Virginia and UNC. That was a
Mm.
big one. And I know I was torn on that one. I think I ended up going UNC in this bracket.
Mhm.
And then Iowa and Oklahoma were another game that was split in a lot of brackets. I know I ended up, I believe, going Oklahoma, but I know we talked about going Iowa in our bracket selection.
Yeah.
What'd you end up going?
Oklahoma.
Oh, you did end up going. But what
Yeah.
about UNC versus West Virginia?
UNC.
And then, okay. Well, I mean, I think those games are going to separate a lot of brackets. And then we're on to the Sweet 16 after that. It's going to be close. Sweet 16 is going to get even harder. I know we talked about doing like a bracket redo, like for the Sweet 16, so we'll probably end up doing that. But yeah, I'm excited. This was the first round, day 2 recap. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll be here every day for March Madness and recapping each round. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow. Peace.